What is the particular voice of Welcome to Wrexham from FX and Hulu? And what do we think about the most recent developments on the Challenge USA? All that and more on this week's Taking It Down.
Alabama Take Projection.
Hey, welcome to Taking It Down, the TV and streaming podcast from the Alabama Take. We give thoughts that range from complex to simple, from analytical to basic about shows and movies on TV. I'm Blaine Duncan, editor-in-chief of the website The Alabama Take. I've always enjoyed determining why I like and dislike things, and I have a little bit of a side hustle as an English teacher, so hopefully that lends itself to our busy listeners who want some insight. It's great for listeners that it's not just me breaking down what you want to know. It's Adam Morrow, our erudite touring and studio musician who keeps up with fine literature, Donovan Ronwald, who specializes in media at a New England college and loves film, old books, and more. And Natalie Morrow. She's the first person to go to about fantasy, sci-fi, comics, trashy reality TV, and Beyonce's music. We're here for lovers of television who are just too busy for anything more than the series or movie itself, or maybe for the person who just does not want the typical critic or Hollywood-adjacent analysis. Plus, like a lot of Alabama Take productions, we're high quality. We actually think. Let's get into the show. I have news. We hung out IRL this weekend.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, well, that took a while. So I'm not so sure. Big thanks to Florence, All the Best Records and Coffee. Is that the official name, All the Best? All the Best is the name, but is it? Really cool little shop. I think so too.
You had me questioning the tag there. I know it's All the Best. I don't know what comes after that.
I think it's Records and Coffee or Coffee and Records.
Okay.
I think.
That makes sense.
It's really cool. Go see them in Florence. This is not paid. We're not getting paid for this. We saw Drew Kello. Am I saying his last name? Am I saying his name correctly? Drew Kello. Nathan Pitts, Doc Daly. I'm just trying to rattle off some possible listeners of the podcast whom I also got to clap on the back and say hello to. It's super weird. I've read about this concept recently in like the New York Times. We all perhaps have just forgotten like 2 years, or it's like it didn't exist. So when I saw everybody, I was like, oh, hey, I just saw you last year, when it's been 4 years.
It's weird, and I'm sure that
COVID is what I'm getting
without
at.
a pandemic, some of that happens because we text all the time with people that we don't live in the same. I mean, you're still like close friends with people that you could be thousands of miles away from. So, yeah, I mean,
It
it
also
was
probably happens because we're all old.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
that too.
yeah, old. Some of us have kids. Yeah,
It was wild when you said that we hadn't seen each other since 2019
right.
in person
Because we talk
at a
every
Lee
week.
Bain show.
We talk
Yeah.
nearly every week on this show and see each other. For those who only listen to the audio, we have video, so we actually do get to see each other once a week usually. If you're in Florence, check out All the Best Records and Coffee. I think I got that name right. Ben Tanner, if you're listening, correct me if you need. If you have a chance, see Adam's on Speckled Bird. Follow them on Instagram, and you can see where to listen to them. I know of a show in Tuscaloosa, October 25th. 26th. Thursday, October 26th. Tuscaloosa, Druid City. You got any more shows?
I think that's going to wrap it up for the year. We got recording stuff going on. So, yeah, that show is going to be really good. I haven't seen the controlling parties announce anything yet, so I don't know what, but it'll be a good lineup, really good night.
More to come. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Bo Hicks, Druid City Brewery, and
He is the Druid City Brewer.
Speckled Bird will be there Thursday to kick off a hell of a weekend. That's Bo Hicks' birthday too, so go.
Feels dangerous.
It could get ugly.
Prayers up.
Guys, we have beef. We have beef with one of our sister podcasts. They're raising the fisticuffs. No, I'm kidding. They were joking with us. We Are Star Wars Corey Martin commented on one of our posts and jokingly said he's challenging us to a fight. He's a really funny guy. And of course, Corey Hanna is one of the hosts and one of my close friends. But yeah, it was just about my thoughts on Ahsoka, and they, I think, mostly like it. But also, they're also steeped in the lore, so they get all the references.
I say it was made for them.
It was made for them. No, and that was my thing last week. I said if it's made for you, you're gonna love it, and I get it. And Drew was kind of saying the same thing last night.
Yeah. He
If you're steeped in it, you're gonna catch things that it's designed for
Right.
you. And I don't know. Kudos though. It was just funny to have Corey comment to challenge us to a fight. I was like, yeah, we'd lose. Or I would.
They can have it.
Yeah, you can have it. Let's shift gears. One of the things we're all watching is Welcome to Wrexham. It's dropping 2 episodes a week, most weeks, on FX and Hulu on Wednesday, I'm thinking.
Wednesday, yeah.
Episodes...
That midweek pick-me-up.
Yeah, it's good. Episodes 4 and 5 of Season 2 aired this week. They're short, about 20 minutes apiece this week. So let's talk about those 2 recent ones and any that we haven't talked about. They are prone to changing the theme song. It's new this year, correct?
I think so.
That's what I kept thinking.
It is new.
I was saying that's what I thought too.
I'm always interested in what they choose for the themes on these, because the story on I know we originally talked about this show. There's one called Sunderland Till I Die. There's one called Take Us Home, Leeds United, that all are kind of playing on the same idea of like, here's the plucky team and the tough blue collar town. We're trying to get promotion. Obviously, the new wrinkle here is Hollywood. They all choose kind of like a tug at your heartstrings kind of song. Ted Lasso also does. So
I'm not a fan of this one. It's from an artist, and I'm using that term really loosely today, named John Hume. Jon Hume, not the 1998 Nobel Peace Prize recipient from Northern Ireland.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, because I know that you would.
Thank you. I needed that clarity.
Jon Hume. When you look up this cat, it seems like his only song is this one, and that's not a good sign.
No.
And in similar artists, you get none other than the Dave Matthews Band.
Hell yeah.
I'm just telling you. Let's get into some of the show. I wish they'd pick a different theme song. They had some Cat Stevens last year. It kind of worked. I'm not necessarily even a Cat Stevens fan, but it worked for the show.
I thought you were going to tell me that Mr. John was an AI.
He could be.
That's where I thought that
He's only got one song on streaming that I saw.
Who's to say?
I enjoyed Rob doing basically the Mac character. We're trying to break the bottle on the balloon. When he goes to that, I just smile. When he's like, he looks at the camera, dumbly and says, "It didn't break. I don't understand." It's just Mac all over, and I'll take it every time.
It was some. The whole plan was very Always Sunny wild card energy.
It was. And then they have his picture on the toilet, and the image that they use for the toilet picture, or the urinal picture, it's one of his Mac kind of faces. I will say that we're talking about the 3rd episode, and it has been one of my most enjoyable favorite episodes. And I'm going to break down a little bit more why. Vanelli's saying no. Tell me.
Disagree.
Okay.
It was so cringy. It made me so uncomfortable to watch it.
Now this is the one where they had their club manager. He was on vacation.
Yeah.
Rarely gets a vacation. Yeah, that's the one.
It just felt bad the whole time.
I thought the reenactment of his holiday had some okay comedy, maybe a little overused toward the end. So
yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was kind of funny because it was not him, obviously.
I just wondered how they sold that to him, or if they even did.
It's probably not a hard sell to that guy. I figure they just say, "This is what we're gonna do."
But like, how
he seems,
we're gonna get these actors to like be you and your wife lounging around at some resort
in a Speedo.
Strange.
Yeah. Well, so Natalie talked about it being cringy, but to me, this is the show at its best, where it can tell you what's happening, and there's either humor or sentimentality along with the narrative. But it's self-contained, but it's also a small part of a bigger season. It's like doing all these things I think that it could do is entertaining for me. I mean, seriously, we all like on things on Instagram, and who would ever think that'd get you in trouble? I just randomly click the heart button sometimes.
I mean, you would think that
How was Ryan to know?
Yeah, I guess.
That Paul Mullen's shoe. He's probably following 1 million people, and he's just scrolling. Paul Mullen's shoe, boom, like.
Yeah, I don't know. If you have that much power,
Yeah, you need to be aware.
you would have some awareness. But I guess if you've only represented yourself, really, you don't have to think about it. But now that he's tied to an organization beyond just like a film franchise or something, yeah, more complex. I don't know.
You're a little less forgiving. I just thought it was funny because I'm like on Instagram going, like, heart button,
Sure,
double click.
same, but yeah,
But we also are peasants in this
right.
world.
It's funny that he didn't. He like kind of walked it back, but also not really.
He might have some agreement.
Probably some great Northern British sentiments there.
Anyway, my point is episode 3 to me is a perfect example of how this show can put together an actual story, a real narrative, out of footage that only covers 7 days or so, and piece it together and be like, here's a beginning, middle, and end. Here's a conflict or two, and then it's done. That's got to be one of the most tricky things of filming anything in a documentary style or reality TV style, even. It's like, what's the story here? And I think this show struggles to find that in a way, but more so finding its own voice.
Mm.
And I want to get into that with the next episode, episode 4. But Natalie, I also want to hear, it was just too cringe for you because of all the mistakes they were making.
This felt a lot like the hijinks that you would see like on like a mid-90s sitcom, but then it was happening in real life. So it's like, why, like, y'all can't be this stupid. Like, think through your actions, grow up a little bit. Like, this is, to me, if I were Rob and Ryan, I would be embarrassed that this happened. And I'm embarrassed for them now, and I don't appreciate that at all.
Knowing it's Rob McElhaney and Ryan Reynolds, I can see it being like, no, that's exactly what they would do. They're idiots.
Right. And how dare
Bumbling.
they? Because I'm now feeling that embarrassment.
What made you so embarrassed, Nat?
I don't want to see people getting in trouble for doing dumb things. It's just so it's just it's very frustrating. It does not align with anything that works in my life.
You are particularly allergic to that feeling.
Yeah.
Way more than most people.
I know. It's just a me problem.
What's
but
the
still,
German word that you discovered for secondhand embarrassment? It was very validating when she found this.
She needs to commit that one to memory.
Yeah.
Natalie's so good for this podcast because she's the one who has that second degree. No, because you always bring that second degree of embarrassment that I'm not going to watch anything scary, or it's like you tamp down all this dumb stuff that we too have. We're basically the Robs and Ryans here, and you're coming along and saying stop being idiots.
Well, glad I could be here.
I do laud the show for attempting some originality to the genre by bringing in Susan Lucci to episode 4 to kind of symbolize second place and losing a championship. Usually you just get the sports team. Even they would usually have used a football club. Here's a football club from 5 years ago who had the same problem. They bring in the Bills. I do think it's a sign of the show's problem. One of its problems is that you don't know what you're going to get. That can be a good thing. What do y'all think? Like, I never know what kind of genre of sports show, sports document I'm going to get.
It's like a very 2023 documentary, right? And then it's kind of all over the place. It's a little ADD. It has some foundational ideas that it tends to stick to, I think. Even talking about episode 3, they're still kind of trying to tell you what a guy who handles the day-to-day of a club, like how important he is. Because you understand what a manager does, you understand the player, you understand the owner. Here's a guy who really makes things tick. And then, it just kind of veers wildly into left field with episode 4 and how they're presenting, pretty traditional sports narratives, but using the actress. I don't know.
The soap opera actress,
right,
too, at that.
I just want to know what the sales pitch was to her team to get her to be a part of this documentary.
That'd be good to know.
I do like the idea of a singular examination of coming in second and that losing. I think that's good for an episode. This one just felt a little scattershot, I think is the word. It's not that it was horrible or anything by any stretch. It's just goes back to what I was saying, that maybe it's a good thing that it doesn't have a voice, because it does make you think, where are they going to go this week? We can also harken back to the Paul Mullen episode with his son and his connection to the fan who visits him and brings him gifts and things. That one was focused and tight, but was not incredibly funny. It's just had a nice sentiment to it.
It does seem to change a lot in the even like a meditation on second place and what that means, because they've made the stakes clear. Like second place is potentially disastrous for the club. They can't afford to not get promoted. They have to like advance and get that more of the revenue coming in and blah blah blah. But to use, I can't think of any sports documentaries that would use the soap opera actress
Yeah.
to like prove the point. So it's still very, I don't know, people. It doesn't seem to have run anybody off. People are still compelled by the story. So I kind of roll my eyes at some of that. Like I just want
Oh,
I'm on record as saying when there's no Hollywood and it's just like disgruntled Welsh people yelling about football, that's when I'm at my happiest. That can't be the whole show for everybody. Or else it would be a show like Sunderland Till I Die, which no one has watched but me. So
I like the episodes where they spend some time explaining the leagues. Is that redundant for you as a European football fan?
yeah, for sure.
Is it?
But
Is it really?
yeah, I mean all of the soccer related stuff is pretty elementary if you spend any time following the sport over there. But I think it's presented really, really well because like anytime somebody wants to get in the Premier League and picks their team, and I have to explain like, all right, so this is a league game, and then in the middle of the week they may say, why are we playing right now? It's like, well, it's Champions League. And then the next week it's like, well, why are we in this other cup competition? Well, that's the FA Cup. And like all this weird stuff just happens that you slowly get used to, and it all makes complete sense. But it would be like somebody saying like, "Oh, I think I'm going to get into Alabama football," and like sitting down to watch a day like in November where like a certain set of things has to happen in the SEC to work to our advantage. That we all intuitively understand that Arkansas forcing Ole Miss to throw the ball backwards for like 4th and 20, whatever that play was great for us, and we're all laughing. It's like, oh, we get to go to the national championship now, and they're like, what the hell are you talking? How are these things? So they
Yeah,
do a
but
really
there's
good job kind of putting you in, making you fluent in like a local language like that. Does that make sense?
No, I love it, and I was just wondering if it was redundant for you if you knew some of that stuff. I think that Alabama football, if you use that example, it's less complex though. There's just the one league, and if you win the championship, you're the champion, and that's kind of it.
But so if you've never encountered college football before, you're like, okay, you're an Alabama fan. Great. Who are the other great teams around the country the last few years? You'd say like Ohio State, Clemson, blah, blah, blah. And they'd say, oh, so y'all play during the regular season? No. Well, why not? Well, we're in different conferences. What's a conference? Then you have to explain all of the. It's pretty complicated when that's what I mean by there's things that we just intuitively
hmm
know from growing up with it that they're not logical.
It reminds me of the I guess it's a younger guy in one of the episodes who says, I got into football, and I was like, I thought everybody in the UK just loved soccer. I didn't think you had to get into it at all.
I think they
Like you,
probably, I mean, it would, again, not to keep going back to it, but like if you were a student in Tuscaloosa or a resident in Tuscaloosa, you had an opinion about football.
or even Alabama, I would dare say.
Yeah. But especially Tuscaloosa, where like it dictates 8 of your weekends a year and it's constantly the local conversation. Like you either love it or you hate it or you pretend to be apathetic about it, which is really hate, right?
Yeah. Had you ever heard of the club, the Dorking Wanderers,
No.
with
That
the
was a cool
Dorking
story.
Cockerel?
That was a cool story.
The manager does give some great advice. The manager of the Dorking Wanderers, when he screams to his team, don't fucking shit yourselves. Because I wake up daily and say that to the man in the mirror. Just don't let this be the day you shit yourself at work. I'm more literal with mine, I think.
Right.
His hiding in the stadium when he's suspended is from a game. That's high comedy. That right there's where your cameras need to be with that guy.
Yeah.
This is your show.
Yeah. I wondered if they like asked a few different clubs. I mean, they probably really wanted them for obvious reasons. I forget what the stats were. It's like they get promoted every 2 years or
Every
something.
2
like
years, 2 seasons. Mm-hmm.
But that guy had to be like the fastest. If they emailed everybody in the league, like, "Hey, who wants to participate in an interview?" I bet that it took that guy 30 seconds to write back.
Oh,
Reply
man.
all, me.
I like him. And he is not the
Yeah.
kind of person I would normally like. I bet in
Right.
person I'd hate him, but I would, for TV, him. I hope he
Yeah.
comes back. How does a team like Dorking beat not County? County, right?
I
Not?
think sometimes people can, teams get caught sleepwalking,
I guess so. To me, that was like Dorking beating Knott County 3-1, yet Wrexham unable to beat them this season. Would be like, is that like Vandy defeating Ohio State by 2 touchdowns, yet Michigan go in the same season without a win against, if they played 2 or 3 times?
I think there's a little more parity between teams generally, and it's a weird sport. I mean, football is a weird sport too, but it's a giant field with 20 guys running around chasing a ball. Like, strange things can happen.
Like Jimbo Fisher stepping out on the field to try to make a tackle?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Straight to an ankle.
It's a decent season. Maybe they should have stopped at 1, but I understand why they didn't.
Oh, I'm glad they went 2.
I mean, they have to keep going. The thing about the show is they can go until they make the Premier League.
Yeah, they could.
Which is
Yeah.
probably never going to happen if they ever did. And you had producers with this much access to a Premier League club, it would be insane. Like the attention that would get. But what they get now is nothing compared to if they could climb. Like, they only stand to gain. Like if they keep dropping down, they have a heartache story. If they go up, they have this like aspirational kind of. It's the perfect setup.
At what point I know that this is good, especially for the community. It's bringing in more money and more attention, and that's always good for those types of communities. But at what point does it become basically like the Nick Saban effect, and it gets too big, and then it's unsustainable?
That was a question I asked last time we talked about this show. Maybe Natalie was gone. That's exact same.
Sorry.
No, that's the exact same question I asked. Like, at what point do the people there in town say, "I hate this shit. I don't like it. Even if our team is this successful, everybody here is driving me crazy."
Or if even if everybody still likes it, but if the city develops, especially if they start aiming towards tourism and that kind of stuff, and then in 10 years interest wanes because it's been fun for 10 years, but now we're tired, then what happens?
I guess people do like we did. They move out of Wrexham and still support them a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's where we are. Do you guys ever want to go online and buy a Wrexham jersey?
A little TikTok jersey?
Yeah.
I have not been tempted so far.
I have.
I've been tempted by the original one with like the trucking company or whatever it was, like the moving company.
Yeah, those are cool.
That'd be dope.
I don't want a TikTok jersey.
Yeah, that does make you wish it didn't have it.
Makes you a little anxious about China,
China.
What's that old guy up to?
Who knows? He's just a rascal.
Yeah.
He's just cutting up. Let's take a break, and on the other side, we're going to talk about the Challenge USA spoilers. Spoil the whole thing. No, we won't spoil the whole thing. We'll spoil everything up until the most recent episode from Thursday. Very intricately described as 3 buttholes talking about Star Wars. The best thing about the podcast We Are a Star Wars is that Corey, and Jim, that's right, 2 Corys, are self-aware. But not only that, they know their shit. We Are a Star Wars gives you plenty to think about as they break down the newest and the oldest in Star Wars canon, which is growing by the minute. Produced by the Alabama Take, We Are a Star War appears sporadically as the three buttholes gather themselves when they can, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Find any episode on thealabamatake.com as well. That's We Are a Star War. We're back. We're going to talk about some Challenge USA from this past Thursday. Spoilers for it, viewers. We're diving right in. I thought this was a good episode. Like, really good. I'm just enjoying this season. I think because my expectations were low, but what a great daily challenge. Just let them wrestle. Did y'all think that was as dope as I did?
It's been far too long since they just oiled them up and had them wallow around.
Yeah, no gimmicks. Just get in there, bathe yourself in oil. Was there a physical reaction from anyone on this podcast from watching the players oil up? I'm asking for a friend.
Is that friend Jeff?
It's me. I'm your friend.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
I don't think Jeff's watching this season.
It's a shame.
A shame. He's a busy man. I thought it was great. Daily?
I wish that the boys had done it right. I'm tired of the boys being a bunch of babies.
Well, I think that even that they did do it like a bunch of babies is good TV because it allowed you to see how tougher the ladies are, how weak, especially Fessel, is.
Are we going to do some body shaming here?
No, I'm not body shaming at all. He just stood around, and then he went after a gassed Corey, sorry, not Tory. My mind's on the oil all over again.
No, they already did that. The Corey and Fessy fight was pretty good. That was like the only standout moment. And Chris holding the other guys off for a while. That was admirable.
Man.
But
Tough.
yeah.
Any pity for Chris having been ganged up by four or five
totally.
Others? And Tyler. Did you have any pity for him?
Yeah.
Or
No, because they at least he didn't have to fight all of them. He just fought one guy.
That's true. Yeah, Fessel was doing what Fessy does and lays back as cowardly and waits until there's one person left who's done more work than he.
It's a little confusing about why they went along with that plan.
I feel like Fessy uses Corey as a pawn every season.
Yeah.
I think he's in his head and is just like, dude, do this. And Corey's just like, okay, we're in an alliance. We're buddies.
I don't mind when
sorry for Corey.
Yeah. I don't mind when they make little deals like Fessy and Bananas having a handshake agreement when they were both trying to jump. You know, it's like we both made it this far, that's fine. But then to basically like have a little mini tournament instead of just it broke the spirit of the daily. And I'm with you that Corey is I don't know why he wouldn't. Or maybe he did. He beat him up pretty good. It seemed like he'd want to hit Fessy if he got the chance.
This is why Corey and Nelson are such good friends, as they're just a little too nice and naive when they play this game. I don't think Corey was this way a few years ago, but I think Nelson has maybe rubbed off on him.
Well, he realized, how many times did Corey get bounced in like the first 2 weeks because he was talking about his vet hit list?
It's true.
The women, as always, were way more intense than the dudes. That was a show. Their wrestling daily. I was impressed by all of them, but particularly Chanel and Michaela. Michaela has made it so much more longer than I would have expected, and really not how I expected. She's been winning and not laying around at all and getting in people's faces at times and plowing through here right up to the almost end.
I was surprised that she ended up winning that one.
Yeah, she seems like the smaller lady.
Yeah.
Got the win. Fessy always brings up that he played football. Always, you know. Which his first season I thought was interesting. Now it's just hilarious. But Corey also played football in like a lower tier college school.
Everybody on there is an athlete. Right?
Exactly.
Not the big deal. It is weird that he keeps bringing it up, but you know we have a lot of reasons to hate Fessy. So
yeah, we do. Is it time for us to discuss Josh's hair choices?
We can.
What is going on? Is that a style I'm not familiar with?
You know, I think somehow on paper it shouldn't do this, but it's made me like him more.
Me too, kind of. I kind of sort of like him ish, you know. He did a really good controlled bit of controlling some negotiation during a picking and elimination. Remember that? He ran the table there when it was still a group of people.
He's the one that got the vets back in the game,
Yeah,
and he kind of ran this one too, with
yeah,
getting everybody to make them think it was going to be a girls' day, and some votes got exposed, and then what they wanted to happen still happened.
yeah. It took him a while. He's finally getting the game. Even the nominations between Corey and Michaela was good TV.
I
Those were
thought that was great
like
TV.
because her conversational tone, Michaela's conversational tone with Corey during the nomination, and then with Cassidy during drinks. I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out if she being reasonable, logical, or is she mean?
I think it's both, and I also think her logic is based not on logic, but like what's best for her. So
Absolutely.
the logic that she uses defeats itself constantly, and that would be very frustrating to like sit across from somebody who exudes that like I'm smarter than you kind of energy, but is poking holes in their own plan.
She's got that, but wasn't it Natalie who kind of had come around a little on her? You kind of like, I'm okay with her. Where
Yeah,
are you
I
now?
like Michaela. Still a fan. Because she's not obnoxious. Like, I think there's something about, like, there are people that play that exact same game, but that are just obnoxious about it. And Michaela's just like, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm going to do. Here's why.
Who does it that's obnoxious? Like a similar thing. Can you?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my
Yeah,
head
I was
right
trying
now.
to think of someone. Despite not having any pull for Chris to win the entire thing, it was really cool to see him get back in the house one more time for some drama next week.
It's like 3 times in a row, right? That he's
4 total, or 3 times in a row. He completed what you could call a challenge grand slam. He's eliminated 4 people from 4 different shows. Big Brother, The Challenge, Survivor, and The Amazing Race.
that's crazy, and did it in a pretty
Well,
impressive fashion this time. That game, the elimination did not look
Yeah,
easy.
no, and
he's going to win, you
he
guys.
he could, and he was
If
doing the classic tennis player scream, with every move of the barrel.
yeah,
Really putting forth some effort.
if he wins, that would be unbelievable.
It's
I'm
going to
not
be
rooting for it
interesting.
to happen. I'm just saying it would be remarkable.
What are the odds he goes back in eliminations this week? If so, he's going to break some kind of record, I think, or tie a record for the most elimination
How
if he
many
wins.
guys are left?
It's Chris, Josh, Bananas, Fessy, and Corey.
Okay.
Yep.
And there may be 5 girls. I think they're
There may
probably
be
going to limit.
one more elimination, get it down to 4, and then it's not to the 5.
That was my guess. They
I
might
think
do a
there's
double.
6 ladies, right?
That's a good question. So we got Cassie,
Mikel,
Corey, Michaela,
Michaela, Chanel, Tori,
Desi.
Desi,
That's 5.
Michelle,
That's
Chrissy,
6.
Cassidy, not Chrissy,
I
Cassidy.
counted her. That's 6. Yeah, we're horrible at this. No, you're right. No, there are 6 girls, 5 guys. So they need to winnow it down to probably 2 less girls and 1 more guy. Not sure how production team's going to manage that.
They're gonna have to manufacture a girls' elimination maybe, and then a double elimination the week after.
Something
Yeah.
like that. That sounds about right. And then we'll be in the finals. All right. But yeah, I really like this episode. I was totally into it. Even challenge is a lot like pizza. Even bad challenge is okay challenge.
It's always funny when the episode is really good, but it ends up being fairly low stakes for our rooting interests.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, like the meat of the episode was really good drama, and like we're gonna put Tori up, we're gonna do this, and like Corey has to fight for her, and blah blah blah. Then it ends up being 2 guys that are kind of expendable for our
right.
who we're
Which
pulling
is
for.
it's quite the contrast of the week before. 2 guys quite expendable in the elimination. I didn't care, and the episode itself was not necessarily a great one, but this one was good.
You didn't care about Wes? Wasn't Wes last week?
Wait, maybe it was the week before when it was 2 guys. I didn't care. It was one of Chris's wins where I didn't care that much. Okay, so 2 weeks ago.
They did Wes dirty.
Yeah, you weren't here last week. We
I
mentioned it
know.
very briefly. You want to say something about it?
Just that Natalie pointed out that it's because it's on CBS and not MTV that they didn't give him like Wes deserves like a 5-minute montage of a send off. I mean, again, Natalie pointed out, Bananas was crying in the background when Wes walked off the set.
Huh.
There should have been a much bigger amount of fanfare for his farewell.
Yeah, MTV would have carved out the time.
They would have done it right.
All right. What a time to be alive. You got the challenge. We'll figure something else to talk about next week. You can talk to us in the meantime. It doesn't have to be in person. We, the Taking It Down podcast, are on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, even X for the time being. X, Twitter, whatever. Yeah, it's all Taking It Down pod, every one of those, so there's a consistency. We are part of the Alabama Take, and the Alabama Take's on all the socials. Find them, like them, say howdy, head to your iPhone or wherever. Well, for iPhone users, you click on the podcast app, search for Taking It Down, that's us. Once you see the red TV, you'll scroll all the way down, and you can click on 5 stars, you can write a little review. You can join our family. We'll adopt you. We'll talk to everyone later. Bye.